For me,
on daily basis, require leadership to be there for them. The over 30 million people at various level of social and economic progress. And so everybody, have their own needs and demands that leadership must create that environment for them to thrive. And for me, I think that's what this whole thing we are doing is all about. And it's not changed. And it's not going to change. Everywhere you go, Ashanti, Eastern, Western, Savannah, Upper East, Upper West, it's the same thing. The mason wants to wake up in the morning and have something to do. The carpenter wants to be productive. The taxi driver or the church driver wants to come back home in the evening and, open his wallet and count how much it is that he's made. The market
and be able to take care of his family.
Absolutely. The market woman is expecting that he goes to the market and it will be a good market day. The young child that is dreaming to be a lawyer, a medical doctor, a teacher, has an opportunity to dream, and it doesn't end only with dreams, but has that enabling factors to serve as a launchpad for them to become whatever it is that they become. And so that basically is what the people are looking for. The people also acknowledge that it's always work in progress. But at every point in time, there's a child that is in primary, there's a child that is in basic, GHS, there's a child that is in secondary school and the university. At every point in time, there's a Ghanaian citizen that needs medical care. At every point in time, there's a Ghanaian citizen that wants to be able to move conveniently from one point to the other. So you always have to be there for them. And the people are always going to ask of you what it is that you plan to do for them to be able to thrive in their daily lives. And I think that's what I see, that's what I hear, that's what I encounter, and that's what I gather from the feedback and the faces of the people.
So expectation, I'm sure the expectations are very high ahead of this election. For me, from where I sit, I've watched the political space, you've also been in the political space. I don't know what you see, but I feel that this election is the one with the highest expectations, because I feel the 2016 election had some high expectations because of the change we expected and everything. But I feel in this election, the expectations are even higher, because I speak to a lot of Ghanaians, just as I'm sure you do. And there's so much, they feel the Fourth Republic hasn't served us as much as it ought to. So people are very expectant, and that's why there's also the rhetoric that careful what you promise. Both sides, because now the people are
No, I mean all of us. All of us. I think that we must be fair to the generations that have come to past. Every time we go for an election, the people have a right to be expectant. Because the reason why they are going to the polls is to vote for a leader that will be there for them. And I doubt if there's ever been an election in this country where the people were not expectant or were less expectant than we're experiencing now. It's all about the euphoria that bells along the way. I mean, which of the elections did we have, even in our Fourth Republic, that didn't have high expectation? 1992 was a fresh one. People were excited, people were expectant, people wanted to go to vote. 96, well, let's do it. 2000 was a big deal.
I'm not saying there are never expectations, but I feel, for example, 2000 with Kufuor coming in, I saw the expectations. I felt it was a different vibe, and you could tell something was shifting. 2016, I felt that vibe. You see, I've skipped 96, 2000, 2016, and 2024. I mean, we go out, and when you have interactions with people, it appears.
But the point is that as political leadership, you have a responsibility to convince the people. I think it's the right thing to do. Give the people a compelling reason to trust you to lead them going into the future. And that's what Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is bringing on board. And like you said, ultimately, all these things that we are doing is to ensure that every Ghanaian everywhere gets to be productive and is able to feel safe in his own country, is able to feed his family, is able to provide the basic needs for his family. And then we all live a very decent life. It's all about food, shelter, and good health. And I think that if the people are highly expectant of these things, then there's a reason we need to give them that. And that's why, for me, conversations like these are very important. I mean, I saw you make a lot of presentations. I think that is what this election should be about. I think this election should be less of emotions and sentiment. I think this election should be about properly interrogating the issues and separating selfish personal interest from what it is that would directly benefit the people. And if you are involved in all of these and in shaping the conversation, and you do not situate yourself in that space, then you are being very, very unfair to the people, and you may have to answer to it at one point or in time. I think that our conscience should prick us to let us go to the people and say, this is genuinely what I think my solution is to A, B, C, D. What do you think? And give them a reason to trust that you would be able to deliver. But it's not enough for us to just go about, like you said, just go and be telling them, no, no, no. And I think, in fact, if you compare the Ghanaian voter this year to the Ghanaian voter 8 years, 9 years, 10 years, 20 years ago, we've seen a lot of progress. People are analyzing things a lot more differently. People are breaking down things a lot more differently. And that's why you see that you're not getting that feel that you're expecting to get, you know, in previous elections, because people are really analyzing the situation.
You also have
an interesting election.
You also have social media and Gen Zs who are viewing things from a very different
all angle. The things you are reading
we are not doing before 2000. Newspapers. What
these
are
things we are discussing today, and they were discussed last night. Everything on this front page was discussed last night. So there's a whole lot of difference in the voter, you know, orientation. That
let's quickly get into the NDC's youth manifesto ahead of. They've come through with that, and you are now coming through, and they will later also come through with their own manifesto. If you look at the youth manifesto, the number of times youth was used in that 143-page document, 73 times, and 57 promises made. I don't think I need to remind you of them. I know you're fully aware of what promises were made. In terms of the 2020 manifesto and similarities, upskilling the youth in digital skills, introducing a 24-hour economy policy, training 1 million youth in coding, something that your side has also dabbled in, establishing a ministry of youth development. There's also increasing access to quality education from basic to tertiary levels. And of course, that's where the tuition fee for level 100s at our tertiary institutions, public tertiary institutions, comes in. Reducing data costs, dedicating funding for free senior high school. There's a whole lot more that is made mention of that I could get into. Increasing access to quality education, partnering with religious bodies and NGOs for skills development. You can talk about the private SHS structure also coming on board, free SHS. Your reactions to that. I want to get into your own manifesto launch, but let's start from the NDC's youth manifesto.
Honestly speaking, I have very little to say about this because, you know, the reason we put out manifestos is to try and proffer solutions to the obvious issues that the Ghanaian people would want solutions to. I think the real issue here is not about listing the things. The real issue here is about testing the credibility of the people who are listing these things and as to whether they can do it. I mean, when I come and meet you at home and I realize you haven't eaten the whole day, the easiest thing for me to say, I'll give you food. Isn't that the solution? So I'll tell you, I'll give you food. But the question is, do you believe I'll give you food or not? And that's where the real detail is.
So following through on promises?
Oh, of course. I mean, otherwise, putting it together in manifesto is not a big deal. You just look at all the challenges and issues, and then you list. You don't have bed, I'll give you bed. You don't have food, I'll give you food. You don't have water, I'll give you water. That's all you are putting. That's basically what they've done.
But it's not what all of you do.
Yeah, that's the point I'm saying. No, there's nothing wrong with that, because you're putting solutions together. But the difference is the credibility to deliver. And the people would look at you and do a litmus test on you to check whether you are one that has ever had an opportunity to do these things, and what did you do? How did you handle it? And whether they can trust that these things you are listing are things you can do. You pick the NDC's manifesto they put together in 2012, and you realize that they succeeded in implementing just about 23%. That's what they did, 23%. So if you bring me a manifesto in 2024 and you list 76 policies, I'm going to pick what you did when you came to me some time ago. And I gave you an opportunity to come and lead me and see whether the things you told me you would do, you actually did them. And then I'll pick your opponent and see what your opponent said they would do, and see whether the things they said they would do, they did them. That is what the Ghanaian voter is going to use to take a decision. But I can tell you otherwise, that's why you always hear the political parties throw allegations at each other. You have stolen my idea, because their challenges are the same. And the solutions to the challenges are the same.
I want your quick take on this. Well, there's a comment that comes through. This person says, the compelling reasons they give for us to vote, and this came to me personally, so it's not on the compelling reasons they give for us to vote. I think you should, I want you to pay attention to this. The compelling reasons they give for us to vote should also be truthful.
Yeah.
And it should be about more than the basics of food and work and housing.
Absolutely.
We can't always be fighting for the base of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. At what point do we start striving for self-actualization, which is at the top, which is where you are living a certain decency of life and you are fulfilling, basically you are living your best life.
You see,
you are using your talents to the best of your ability. Where do we get there? They be our basics now.
No, because you see, the basics are crucial. What governments are responsible to do, basically, is to make sure that everybody has that enabling environment. That's what government's role is all over the world. Make sure that everybody has the needed platform to acquire the right skills. Make sure that everybody gets the needed room to get educated. Make sure that when somebody is sick, they all have access to good quality health care. Make sure that when it comes to public transportation, everybody has access to it. Those are the things. You create that opportunity so that everybody can use that as a launch pad to head towards self-actualization. I mean, self-actualization is not given by any government. You would have to make sure that the enabling environment...
And that's exactly what I was about to say.
No, nobody.
Create the environment.
Exactly.
And allow people make it possible. So if someone doesn't get there, you can say, this person decided...
That is why...
But if the environment is not
that is why you can't run away from the basics. Because the basics is basically what the launch pad is. The basics, food, shelter, good health, access to...
I think the point the person is making is that
things.
We've been at the basics for so long.
But we are not the
government in...
Tell me one country that has...
This will be our eighth election.
Tell me one country that has...
Within this cycle.
Tell me one government that has left there. The US is still campaigning on health insurance. The US is campaigning on accommodation, real estate.
I think when you say those, you must look at it's like saying, oh, the US inflation is this.
No, but
it's always context.
No, but you are telling
always
me...
context.
No. You are telling me that...
How many of them are in those situations?
Asking you for
and what is the quality of it?
I'm asking for an example.
Oh,
you see,
but I can always point you to the Scandinavian nations, which are always, when it comes to human development index, quality of life.
It's the basics. It's the basics. It doesn't change.
They are always high up. What do they use?
No, it's the same thing. It's health, education, accommodation. Those are the things.
How have they got to that level?
But
within what period?
You see, I am with you. Don't make it look like we're debating. I am with you. I am saying that no government moves away from the basics. That is your job. So we shouldn't give them good roads, give them electricity, give them access to internet, give them access to food, give them good health, give them education. That is government's job. And those are the basics. So you have to make sure that you create these environments for your people to thrive. So I am 100% with you on that. But I am saying this, it's not enough for you to list 76 promises. Let me give you a quick example. You remember in 2008, in fact, in 2003, when the then MPP government President Kufuor decided to introduce health insurance to make it universally free for everybody in the country, the NDC opposed it. In fact, they boycotted Parliament. They called it all manner of names. They said we're not ready until health insurance was introduced. Then fast forward.
But there had been proposals for that, even in the NDC period.
No,
you know that?
No, it's false. In fact, let me tell you, it is a Catholic...
It is false.
It is false.
There had been proposals on that.
It is false.
What is false?
There was... So are you talking about proposals or health insurance? I say proposals.
No, I'm saying that there had been discussions
but if you propose...
So hold on.
Wouldn't
necessarily be that, let's never do it or something of the sort. Of course, there would be concerns about...
No. It was about, let's not do it. It was about it. It is a fact. But the records are there. No. Are you going to? The facts are there. It's not about speculation.
Go ahead.
In the year 2003, when the National Health Insurance was being done, the NDC were emphatic. They were emphatic. Like the same way when we're trying to introduce free education, the education minister of the NDC said that even in Nkrumah and the Soviet Union, Leo Kran, he's on video on your own platform. He said that Even Nkrumah couldn't do free education, universally free education. And that if free education was easy, Nkrumah in the Soviet Union would have done it on video, in an interview in your studios. So they made those comments. Fast forward. When national health insurance was introduced and they realized, hey, this is fixing a big issue for the people. And that has become a big deal for our people. And if you don't align with the national health insurance, you're not likely to win an election. Do you know what the NDC did? In 2008, 4 or 5 years later, they said, oh, you know what? The national health insurance that we boycotted, the national health insurance that we fought against, these people who brought it, they couldn't even do it well. And that, vote for us. When you vote for us, that health insurance that we said wasn't possible, we will bring one-time premium and that we can even implement it better than they did. This was the NDC. Then we voted for them. In fact, one of the reasons why the Ghanaian people voted for the NDC in the 2008 election was because they promised a one-time premium for national health insurance. 8 years in office. 8 years in office, they didn't only not fulfill that promise, but they even almost collapsed the national health insurance to the extent that 1.5 million beneficiaries left the policy because it was non-functional. Now, it's the same game plan. Introduce free SHS. They fought against free SHS from its inception policy idealization point, 2008. When the MPP announced it, they said, oh, it's not possible. It cannot be done. Forget them. This is not something that is easy. Nkrumah would have done it. Everybody, they said they are not going to implement free SHS on the whimsical promises of a desperate politician. John Mahama said that if he has 2 billion, he will not put into free SHS. The aide to John Mahama, Felix Kwachofosu, said that it is a scam. It is nothing but a scam. Fifi Kwete said it is an all-lie, be-lie policy. This same group. Now, 8 years down the line, they sit down and realize that these guys brought universal access to health. They brought proper FQ under President Kufuor when he made capitation possible at the basic level. They have brought free senior high school, which has led to over 5.7 million Ghanaians, 5.7 million homes getting access to higher education. Now, the Ghanaian people are very interested in this. If we don't find a way to align with this, we are going to be in trouble. So they said that, aside all the things we said against the free senior high school, we have an election to win. Let's tell them what they want to hear. You know what, Ghana? The free SHS that we fought against, these people who brought it, they couldn't even do it well. Vote for us. Even though we fought against it, we can implement the thing that we fought against better than the people who brought the idea. So vote for us. We'll make private schools part of the free SHS. We improve the thing that we said it wasn't possible. And then you know what? When your students that we said will not pay for them to go to secondary education, if they hustle, if they struggle, if they strive and shed blood to go through the secondary education and they manage to get to tertiary level, for the universities, when they come to level 100, we'll pay for that level 100 fees for them to go to school. Forget about those who will go to the colleges of education. We'll cancel their college allowance because they don't matter. Forget about the nursing colleges. We'll cancel it because they don't matter. The polytechnics are not part of it. But for those who come to the university, we love them so much.
So the bottom line,
hold on. We'll pay for their level 100 education. When they finish, whatever happens to them at level 200, it doesn't matter. The bottom line is that it is the same gameplay that the NDC played the entire country in 2008 with the national health insurance that they are doing now. They have noticed that education is crucial and it's at the heart of the Ghanaian populace. They have berated it. They have fought against it. In fact, at some point, they fought the beneficiaries of free SHS and the teachers.
We could say that it's a game that
by calling them. No, we don't have such records. We don't have such record, and that is why this morning. No. See,
as the MPP.
So don't say it's the same.
It in different
something
ways,
that is the same cannot be different.
Education too. But let me.
Hold on.
Something that is the same. Let me make this point.
Something that is the same cannot be different. So you cannot tell me that we play the same and say we do it differently. We are not like them. We have no such record.
Right.
You cannot point me to a single evidence of this game play that I've pointed to the NDC of we doing it. And that is why even this morning, I'm not sitting here telling you that making level 100 tertiary education free is not possible. I think it is. I think it's something that can be done. I think that if you've been able to pay for these children to go through secondary education, then if you are committed, like the MPP was committed, and give them free quality secondary education, then you can take them through tertiary, not just level 100 education, but even the entire tertiary education. And that is why, for us, we believe that at least, if not for anything at all, those who are in the colleges of education, the nursing colleges, should continuously benefit from the safety net, social safety net of having allowances to go through the education, whilst we work on the other aspects. So we believe in that. But the biggest point now is, do you think Ghanaians believe John Mahama and the NDC to do this based on their record they have in the past? Is a big no.
Well, you asked me for one. We can talk about schools under treries and what the former, the vice president said. Do you know how many of those schools under trees we saw?
But do you understand what we are saying? Was there anything about school under trees that we fought? Did the NDC say they are going to fix school under trees?
I'm talking about promises made.
No. That is not. So you see, don't think that is not the argument. The argument is about a political party, NDC, saying that a policy is not possible, only for them to turn around and say, now the thing we said is not possible, we can do it.
In any case,
so it is not true. What you are saying is not correct.
In any case, it's not about correct.
No, but it's not correct. It's the fact. It's not correct.
It is not about incorrect.
What you are saying is not related to the scenario we are discussing. It's not correct.
You may put it in that context, but,
but
it is correct that promises were made.
Yeah, promises were made. So we can go through that, of course. But we said we brought a manifesto that we've done 80%.
Relax.
So what you are saying is not true.
Let me say this.
That is not related to the point we are making.
Calm down.
No, we are calm. We're having a conversation. Why not?
Because if you
make a point that is not true.
I'm trying to be calm with you this
morning.
No. If you take it there, you know how we do it.
No. You made a point that is not correct. I am at liberty to point it out.
It is not incorrect.
It is incorrect.
But let me make this point.
Yeah, I'm listening.
Is it not only a fool, as the philosophers will say, who never changes his mind? Let's say that all that you've said, education, is true, right? Granted, let's say that. If, whether MPP or NDC, the opposition says something, and you feel, okay, they came and they've actually executed this. I was wrong in thinking that maybe it wasn't as feasible as I thought. But they have executed it to a certain level. And I feel, honestly, if you've done this, I think I could actually take it a notch higher. Is that wrong?
No, there is nothing wrong. But the point is that, you see, the issue is...
but you keep going on, Fifi Abikwete said this and all of that, which I agree with you.
Hold on.
No, relax. Whatever they said doesn't mean that the person cannot come back.
I have told you that
we can do it better.
I have told you that there is nothing wrong. But you see, again, I have told you that it is about trust and integrity and credibility. Because if you are known to be a liar, if you are known to be one that doesn't stick to your promises, if you are known to be one that has evidence, record of not sticking to your promises, that is what the Ghanaian people use to judge you and measure you. So I gave you a specific scenario. You see, you don't allow, there's a saying in Tree, you don't allow somebody to step on your balls twice. It's early morning, the children are in school. You know the way they say.
You could have used donuts instead of...
No, so that you know what I'm talking about. It's
we can't use those.
So we've seen it before.
Those terms.
We've seen it before. So you see, it is all about making the promises. There's nothing wrong. And I have told you that I don't see any of the things in the NDC manifesto that cannot be done. Each of them are possible because we believe in possibilities. These are things that go to confront the challenges of the country. But the Ghanaian people do not trust them to deliver. Because in the past,
trust you.
Of course, because we have records.
They trust the MPP.
Why not? Why not?
You look at the status of our economy. You look at 1D, 1F in this execution. You look at one village, one dam, the 1 million per constituency.
So there's something called
the execution of free SHS.
Yes.
Brilliant policy. I've always had my problems with part of it.
So there's something
but
that
trust you.
That is why you are going into an election. The reason why you go to better than the NDC. The reason why you go to the ballot is because you have to make a choice between one person and the other person in a human society.
Right.
So definitely, that's why I say our manifesto, we've done just about 80%. So there are 20% of our manifesto that we haven't been able to fulfill.
You've done 80%?
Yes.
According to what survey?
There is there, but go and look at it. I've given you the figure.
According to what survey?
We have run an analysis of our manifesto. You have it. You are a journalist.
The MPP. Yeah.
You have the manifesto. Run the analysis.
That's exactly why I'm asking.
No, run it.
According
yes,
to what?
80%.
This is you.
No.
You are saying this. See, it's like looking at the performance tracker.
Be fair.
It's like looking at the performance tracker.
Listen.
You know how many problems we've found?
Can I speak?
How many? I allow you to speak a lot, so let me also speak. How many? I don't want to use the word, but how many inaccuracies we have found?
Let me ask you a specific question. If you haven't done it, you haven't done it. Have you run an analysis of implementation in this MPP's manifesto? What percentage did you get?
Have I run what?
An analysis of the implementation of the MPP's manifesto. What percentage did you get?
I don't have a personal.
Exactly.
No, relax. But I have seen some of these surveys that do not have anything close to your 80%.
Which one was that survey? Let me check it now for the viewers.
I don't remember
exactly.
But I'm saying that there have been a number of approaches.
Don't do this. Don't let us
relax. But there have been a number of how would I say? I wouldn't call them surveys. But they have analyzed some of the promises you've made. Even if I look at your anchor projects, your flagship projects, and that's what I just mentioned. I mentioned about 5 of them.
Can I speak now?
What would be your execution rate on these 5?
Hold on. Can I speak now? So I told you that we've implemented 80% of our manifesto. Then you tell me that we've done an analysis of some of them and it's not been done. Of course, there's a 20% that hasn't been done. That's why I asked you a specific question. You challenge the 80%.
So you should have a figure. That has not been done.
No.
I see.
You challenge, so you don't have a figure and yet you are challenging the figure. It doesn't add up. Before I confront you and say that your analysis of a figure is wrong, I should have mine. So no worries, there is time. Take your time. Take the manifesto of the MPP. Take the manifesto of the NDC. Do the analysis. Come back. Show it like you have done here. Don't come and say it with your mouth.
Tell me.
Line by line.
Tell me, Dennis.
Hold on.
What goes into the 20%?
Why do you do this?
The 20% that is left.
Why do you do this?
The 20% that is.
Why do you do this?
But you know we have a time. Right?
Yes, but
we don't have all the time.
So you
because I want us to get into.
So you want to take all the time.
Okay, you finish. When you're done, tell me the 20% now. What goes into the 20%?
So you see, go and take it. Bring it to your screens. Line by line. They said they would do this. Have they done? They said they do it. Then when we finish, we calculate.
So let's do a quick line by line. We can do the flagship.
No.
Let's do a quick.
Why no? Bring the manifesto.
Let's do a quick line by line on the
I'm not going to let you to flee.
1D, 1F, 1 village, 1 dam, 1 million per constituency.
You're not helping the conversation. You see what you are doing is
planting for food.
What you are doing is one of the things that we usually do to our viewers. That amounts to misinformation and disinformation.
What is the misinformation about this?
You cannot run
20%. I'm saying take it on these.
Have you done it?
Give me.
Have you done it? You haven't.
No, but you say you've done it, right? But so tell me. You say you've done it. So tell me.
Can I speak? So listen. I am not one of those people that jumps around and do some of these things. You run an analysis on a set of data. You have 100 things.
You say 80%.
Would you let me speak?
You say 80%.
Yes, we have done 80%.
On the 80%, the 20% you found that has not been done. I'm not even saying
so for example,
mine. I'm saying what you have done.
Hold on.
Give me the 20% on these flagship programs.
For example,
what is left?
So for example, listen. We have run a test on our manifesto to determine that there are 80% of the things that we said we have done that we've been able to do. There is a 20% that is outstanding that we haven't been able to entirely complete. I'll give you a quick one. Look at the macroeconomic indicators. When we came to office, one of our main objectives was to move our inflation to a single digit, which we succeeded in doing between 2017 and 2024. But today, it's around 20%, from 15% to 20%. Clearly, it means that we haven't been able to achieve that, have we? Look at our forex exchange, our foreign exchange, and the currency. Clearly, we haven't been able to do that, have we? So, if I tell you that we have done 80%, it is not up to you, who hasn't done any analysis, to come and tell me that is not true. Then you ask me to tell you how you arrived at your non-80%. It doesn't add up.
You have to watch where you're going.
No, but
I'm merely saying,
have you done it? Have you done it?
Your purported survey.
Have you done it?
No, some things have been done on some sectors.
Which one? Do you have
some sectors have been done.
Which one?
I don't have the information here. I'm saying that some sectors.
Isn't that some sectors part of the 20%, even if you identify something like that?
Okay, so you've had your say. Let me talk. We've done analysis.
Exactly, talk about that.
In blunt thoughts, for example, I've used some data on, let's say, education, on different aspects. I don't have them immediately before me. I will not be one of those who will come and say something because I don't have the information here. But I'm saying that you claim you've conducted a survey and that 80% is done. The 20% you should have a fair.
But I've told you.
So that you can complete.
But I have just told you.
Putting you to your flagship program and you keep fleeing.
But I've just told you. You said the 20% that we haven't done. I've just told you some of the 20%. So what are you talking about? How do you contend somebody's analysis when you don't have a contrary figure? So speculations. Throw it in the air and then we move on. That will not be allowed. Have you done a test? And I think it can be done. Again, it's not too late.
Let me ask you this.
It's not too late. We still have time. 4 months. You can run that test. I think you should do it.
If the performance tracker is what, because I believe the performance tracker then should be a key point to analyze what you've done and what you've not done, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And if that is the standard, so you agree that that gives us pure evidence.
Why not?
If that is the standard, then we are lost.
What is your figure? What is your figure?
What, if that
you are doing it based on the screen that you watch.
But
why are you doing this to your viewers? Have you done analysis of the performance tracker vis-a-vis the manifesto?
Let me ask you.
No, have you done that?
Let me ask you.
So how did you come to that conclusion?
As for the analysis
against the manifesto?
tracker,
No, you are wrong. So you see,
the analysis of the data on the performance tracker has been done.
And let me tell you how. We are talking about running an analysis and implementation status of a manifesto. What you do is not an analysis of the performance tracker in isolation. You take the performance.
What makes
tracker.
You think we've done it in isolation?
But I asked you, so tell me the manifesto.
And I'm telling you that
the implementation.
Even after the establishment or the release of the manifesto track,
tell me the manifesto analysis that you did, the status of implementation. Tell me.
Relax. When I asked you the 20%, you couldn't.
I told you. I said I have told you.
I don't have all of them.
I have told you. I said
what did you mention?
I've told you.
Macroeconomy has done.
I said that the macroeconomic indicator we gave specific.
Which indicators?
For example, we said inflation will take it to single digits. Is that double digits? It didn't we? Look at what is happening to the foreign exchange, the cedi. So those are things.
But this is in reverse of the points you are trying to make.
Those are the 20% we haven't been able to achieve. What are you talking about?
I see.
What are you saying? What are you saying?
That is the 20%. So what else goes into the 20% from the other angles I mentioned? Because I don't even want to stretch it. Your flagship program.
So you see the point you are missing here is this, and that's the problem. You asked about the status of implementation of a manifesto. I tell you, we've run an analysis and we've done 80%. You ask me the ones that I think form part of the 20%. I give you examples of some. You have none. But here you are debating.
What makes you think I have none?
But I've asked you, tell the people. I said, what figure did you get in terms of implementation percentage?
But I'm telling you that I cannot give you figures that I do not have readily here.
But how do you debate?
But I can debate you on what exactly you think, because you've given me a figure.
So let me ask you something. You see, let me tell you, Ghana has moved on.
Moved on from what?
If you ask me.
Moved on from what?
If you ask me.
No, moved on from what?
If I ask you to tell me what forms even 70% of what you think MPP hasn't been able to do, how are you going to establish that? By barely mentioning one or two things?
I just gave you your 5 flagship programs.
And you think that forms
and that
forms how much percentage? Tell me, that forms how much percentage?
If I look at, for example, your promise, 1 million per constituency, were you able to fulfill
that forms? Let's say we have.
No.
Let's say.
Relax.
Let's just say.
Relax.
Let's just say.
Do you want to talk throughout the show?
Let's just.
Do you want to talk throughout the show?
Ask me.
$1 million per constituency. You were not able to fulfill it.
Fulfill what?
You were not able to give the $1 million.
No, we're not able to fulfill it. When you say we are not, that's false.
You were not able to give the $1 million to every constituency.
That is not true. That's false.
What did you do?
So we actually sent the $1 million to every constituency. And there did? Yes, in 2018.
When?
In 2018 and 2019.
And what happened?
No, so you see, so what you are saying is not true. So you know what you should say?
You said that you would
stop disinforming your
throughout the period. You would give $1 million per constituency.
But you are saying that you couldn't fulfill it.
Fine. Did you fulfill it throughout the period?
So that is where...
You didn't.
So listen to me. There is a shortfall. That is where the percentage of implementation comes in.
And even the $1 million...
Stop misinforming your viewers.
In fact, the ambulance...
That is where...
What do we have to show for it?
What do we have to show for what? For what?
$1 million. What was it?
People are watching you. I'm telling you that.
What was it used for?
If somebody wants to implement a project and says that I will do A, B, C, D, and you want to measure the percentage of implementation, you don't say that they didn't do it. You look at what they have done and measure it against the whole.
Okay, so
then you know the percentage.
You did a year or two out of what? 8 years.
A year or two of what? A year or two of what?
You said you sent $1 million.
You said that we didn't do it. You said that we didn't.
And
if I'm not brought it up,
the execution. No, the point is, I do remember some ambulance issues.
You do remember, but yes, you said we didn't do it.
Listen,
but yes, you said we didn't do it.
The point is, I used to like.
So you would have done.
You said you would give $1 million per constituency every year. Have you been able to execute?
That is where the percentage of implementation that I keep asking you about.
Okay, so that is.
So don't come and stand on.
You look at.
Tell the viewers that they didn't do it. When you know that some of it
obviously you didn't.
And then
let me ask you. Let me take you to this.
Take me.
Now, if you go to planting for food and jobs, for example, and the food security you said you would create, even after Dr. Efri Akoto had left.
Yeah.
And now we have Dr. Brian Echampo. Have you achieved that?
Achieve what?
Food security, ensuring that we have enough on all fronts.
We've made progress. Do you know how much import of rice that we have cut over the period? And we are producing it locally.
I do know that.
Exactly.
It's about what, 30-something%. But at the same time, our consumption has increased.
So again, there is a percentage of success. And that is why I keep bringing...
But no one... Has anyone said here that in all of these areas, there is no success at all.
I will not allow you.
Has anyone said that?
I will not allow you to run away from the issue.
No, but have I said that there is no success on any front at all?
The fundamental debate here is that
it is your 80% I'm questioning.
Of course.
Not that there is no success at all.
Of course, it is 80. So how are you arriving? What is your figure? What? And immediately 80 is mentioned. It means that there's a certain percentage that hasn't been done. Because it is not 100%. So what is your figure? So you've really made us waste 10 minutes debating something that you have nothing to show
for.
Yes, debating something that you have nothing to.
According to your logic.
But
these are the probing questions we have to ask on the very thing you make.
No.
You're telling me you have 80%.
Yes.
You're telling me that you sit an exam, you claim you have scored 80%, and you don't know which questions you actually messed up on. You got
the
wrong.
Problem you have,
and actually
the problem you are having
the loss of 20%.
The problem you are having is that you
is that what you're telling me?
You see, the problem you are having is that you are struggling so much to make the point you made, which is you are human. Obviously, wrong, look good. I told you that.
It's not a problem. I'm saying
me to give
you scored 80%. 20%. There must be some questions you got wrong.
Bro, you are wrong.
You can't tell me.
I told you, but I mentioned that
you mentioned that macroeconomic indicators and inflation has gone up.
Is that not part?
I was tagging you. Fine, it is part of it.
So what are you talking about? Why you let us waste time to discuss something?
Five.
Okay, you are right. Let's move on. You are right.
Five of your flagship.
You are right. Let's move on.
And you can't even.
You are right. Let's move on. You are right. Let's move on. It is wrong for you to continuously be fixated on a falsehood simply because you want to be proven right. So you are right. I tell you about analysis of a manifesto we have done.
Shouting is dependent on
how you want to call it. I tell you about analysis of a manifesto we have done. You haven't done any. You contest the figure. And I ask you, what is your figure? You don't have it. And you are picking on things. You are speculating.
You can take it that way, that we've never done
okay, you are right. Let's move
assessment.
On. You are right. Let's move on. But you said you haven't done it.
But let me ask you then.
Yes.
Moving on to this Sunday and your manifesto that you are coming up with. What can be expected in there? And how will it make the ordinary Ghanaian better?
This manifesto is heavy on jobs.
Heavy on what?
Jobs and business.
Jobs and business.
Yes, basically, that is what.
Now I'm itching to hear this one.
Can you let me speak? Oh.
Why? Because I said I'm itching to hear it.
You're interrupting me too much. I think that the MPP really believes that over the past years, not just with the Akufo-Addo government, but even in the Akufo government, been very heavy on social safety nets. In fact, most of the social safety programs you can think of are programs that are introduced by the MPP government. The health insurance, making basic education free, making increasing access to secondary education and making it free, ensuring that the children who graduate from these secondary schools are able to have access to tertiary education without money being a problem, and all of that. So we've had a couple of these social safety nets running. We have the livelihood empowerment program, and a couple of them. We've increased the facility for the persons with disability fund, and supported them and all of that. It is time for us to begin to move towards pushing these skills and these things we're giving to the people towards becoming productive. And so the manifesto is heavy on getting private sector to really thrive, expand, increase production, empower the citizenry to be able to access some of these things that the private sector or the industry will produce. And by so doing, once they expand it, they definitely need to employ and recruit. So a lot of jobs. It is entirely jobs. About 90% of the manifesto that you're expecting to see on Sunday is about jobs, businesses, and the private sector.
Okay,
it's about the trader on the street. It's about the businessman. It's about the
let's stay there. Let's stay there a bit. In 2016, one of your manifesto promises, job creation, employment.
Yes.
2020, same. We're in 2024. Before you came to power, you were promising jobs.
Yeah.
You are at the dawn of another election after 8 years. You are promising jobs.
Yeah.
Of course, it is not that room for jobs ever ends. But when you look at unemployment, for example, hovering around 2016, around 7+%, and now 14+% in terms of unemployment. Would you say that on the score of jobs, you have done what you said you would do, for which reason we should trust you now to be able to create jobs after 2024?
Absolutely. Because we are the only government who, within 8 years, has produced the most jobs than any other government. So we have produced 2.1 million jobs, which we have the data to show for, the entire list of the 2.1 million jobs. And so if you're going to compare us...
Let me just ask you here. When it comes to the jobs that you say you have created, are these sustainable jobs, long-standing jobs that apply, or is it like NAPCO and others where you are in and out at some point?
No, they are sustainable jobs. Very sustainable jobs. And we've actually put the data out. These are sustainable jobs only. 2.1 million. And the point you made is even the more reason why you need a government that has a track record and a scorecard for producing jobs. And so I like the point you made. As we are going into the polls, you are voting for John Mahama, His Excellency, or voting for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, His Excellency. Vote for the one that has the record of producing jobs. Look at the number of teaming jobs that have been employed. And still look at the number of teaming...
You mean teaming youth?
Yeah, teaming youth that are still in need of jobs. And so if you're going to vote in an election where you have a lot of young people looking for jobs, in spite of all the jobs that have been created, then surely you're going to go for the one that has a record to show in terms of jobs. I mean, for Mahama, we know his record when it comes to jobs. And I think that this election really, Akapo, is about jobs and businesses, no matter what you do. Because the woman at home is expecting his 35, 25, 26-year-old son to be out there working and bringing something home. And that is not going to change. The father out there is looking for their young girls to be out there looking for jobs and bringing it back. That is not going to change. And so as you go to the polls, ask yourself, what were the jobs that John Mahama created? They put it out there. It's in parliament. It's public. They said they created about 600 or so thousand jobs. That is out there. Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's government has created 2.1 million jobs. So if it's about jobs, the record is there. There's no debate about that. There's no contention about that. It's not about opinions. It's about who has a record to create jobs. And if even after creating 2.1 million jobs, we have a lot more young people who are ready and willing to work, then it tells you that we need to do more. And that is why we are saying that we are going to scale up even more in terms of what we've done in the past 8 years to ensure that the teeming young people who are yet, because you see, in job creation...
How are you going to do
it? Yeah,
it?
because in job creation, it's a value chain.
Because of time. We have about 5 minutes. How are you going to do it?
The job creation is a whole value chain. You need to first of all make sure that they are skilled. You give them the right skills.
Right.
So currently we have about 11 automobile companies in Ghana, actually assembling vehicles in Ghana. And these automobile companies, they need to employ. But are young people ready? And that is why we've invested so much in TVET, modernizing it and making sure that these young people are able to get out and get into these automobiles.
Those 11 that you mentioned and the automobile industry, do you have any idea how many young people, for example, they would need to facilitate their work?
Oh, yes. I mean, the last time I checked within that sector alone, they're looking to close to about 13 to 14,000 young people that needs to be working there. And you know, when it comes to these setups, they scale up as they move along. And we need to be ready to fill that space. Because if we don't, other people are going to fill it. About 1 million plus jobs are going to be created in the digital space. No doubt about that. Because now the enabling environment is created.
The coders and others.
I mean, of course.
I see.
When you go to India, there are millions of Indian young people who are working for European and Asian companies by living in India.
That is trite knowledge. India has
exactly.
its economy
Exactly. So that is where we're striving to get to.
But you know what India has done over the decades to get to that point, which is why they even have so many CEOs.
That is the main reason why. That is the main reason why when you hear a political leader like John Mahama tell you that giving tablets to children is a vote buying gimmick, you should hoot at him, because India ensured that the KG child, the class 1 child, at least you let her be holding it and playing with it and doing nothing and get confident with it. We have done it. We have started it. We are working on it. Today, if you go to Accra...
Regardless of what it costs, right?
Of course, because that is the investment we have to make.
Did you say regardless of what it costs? And you are saying yes.
Yes, you have to spend and invest in it.
Well, that buying a tablet that supposedly maybe should cost a certain amount is costing many times that. It makes sense for you?
Whatever it is that cost to ensure that the Ghanaian child gets tablets. The Ghanaian child gets tablet. Because I don't know what you are talking about. I don't know where you got your
I'm sure
invoices.
you will not know.
No, did you get the invoices from anywhere? One of your speculations.
You wouldn't know.
It's one of your speculations, or you got the invoices.
What speculations? We've done a lot of deliberations on this.
Don't let us digress.
I'm sure you know exactly.
I don't know. It's one of your speculations. In India, they invested in these young people without thinking that when you live in a village, you cannot have a tablet, or when you live in the city center, or you must be an affluent before you get a tablet. And that's why we have started. That is why today you go to Dome Kwabenya, and we are introducing KGs.
So that's how you are creating jobs.
KGs that are using tablet and smart boards in their classroom. So the 1 million jobs will be created. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has already indicated about how he's bringing private sector into the delivery of public infrastructure. That strategy alone is going to free government of over 30 billion, give it to the private sector to expand and grow. What it means is that as these businesses are expanding, they will need more hands and they will need to employ more people. Don't forget, one of the only ways these people would have expansion and do more is when the Ghanaian people are consuming. So he says that let's create an environment where the Ghanaian people will have the ability to afford these things and consume. So these businesses can employ more and do more. And so he says, can we begin to, looking at all the things we've achieved and in our digital space, introduce a credit scoring system so that you don't need cash and carry all the time to be able to access the basic things you need. So you can go and buy your TV, you can go and buy your mattress,
Dennis,
you can go and buy your sofa.
Thank you on that point.
So that a lot more people can access these things, and the businesses will have a reason to
I'm sure the Ghanaian population, as they go and vote, they will determine, like you said, what is truth and what is fiction. And whether, in fact, you can do what you claim you're doing on the back of your track record.
And we're actually saying that
jobs.
We're actually saying that they should use that as
let me just say this though. On the back about, even as we approach election 2024, some of the commentary, and I'm going to Brian Achampong and Malik Basintali and everything in between. On 3 occasions now, the Agric minister has gone down this road talking about willy-nilly, we're going to take power. There's nothing you can do about it. What does that mean for our elections? Especially as we are trying to secure peace. That kind of rhetoric. Of course, you must know that the National Peace Council has waded into the matter, the Ghana Catholic Bishops' Conference, people of goodwill. Do we need to put a stop to that kind of conversation?
I don't know whether you're quoting Brother Champo or you are...
I quoted him. You saw me quote him on Blunt Thoughts. You are fully aware of what he said. I don't need to quote him again.
But what you are saying now isn't exactly what he said. That's what I'm saying, whether you are quoting him.
But I'm sure you know that I'm paraphrasing.
Okay.
Yes. So, Bamon Kwashipo, he said.
But Latobika said, Kwashipo, what does that mean?
Okay, let me quote him then. Yeah. Since you want to play that game.
No, it's not playing. I mean, we are having a discussion.
Let me.
I like to interrogate the issues and not, go around it. So
this is precisely what Brian Achampong says. He says, it will never happen that we, the MPP, will stand on the platform to hand over power to the NDC.
What does that mean to you?
Democratically, what does that mean to you?
What that means to me is that this morning when I leave here, I'm going straight to the central region to do some work before I hit Takrade. It means that we are going to work. We are never going to allow ourselves to sleep for us to lose the elections and hand over to the NDC.
Okay.
That's what that means.
If the NDC dares to resort to threats, violence, and imprudence during the 2024 election, we will demonstrate our strength. What strength?
Yeah, but why? So if you dare to use violence, why shouldn't I demonstrate my strength? I should sit down for you.
So using your strength would mean what?
I would face you anyhow you bring it to me.
Okay.
Why is that a problem?
So violence will be met with violence.
No, I mean saying that. I said anyhow I can deal with it.
Will violence be met with violence?
We are not violent.
I see.
The MPP doesn't have a record of being violent. But there are so many ways to contain a violent person. So many ways.
Like
so
what?
many ways.
Like
what Malik Basintali said. There are so many ways to contain him. And West, like Malik Basintali, the things he said, based on his own understanding of what Brian Achampong said, is what is dangerous. Because Brian Achampong never used any way of burning anywhere of saying that he's going to destroy anybody's hotel. And as if you can burn the sea, you should do it. Nobody will be bothered about that. But you are burning somebody's hotel, or you won't read what Malik said. The point I'm making here is that what Brian Achampong said, there was not a single element of violence from Brian Achampong. He said, don't dare to use violence. Why are you not interrogating that and saying, who is it that intends to use violence? And tell the other person, we beg you, don't use violence.
The wording he is using.
What wording?
And including what Malik also says. I have a message for him. If the people vote for John Mahama and your MPs, if he's truly a man, let him refuse to hand over power, and he will see what happens.
But why you don't?
When iron meets iron, you will see fire. That rhetoric, you're
okay
with it from different sides.
Did Brian Achampong say anywhere that if John Mahama wins the election, did he say anywhere in the statement that
when he says we'll never hand over power to these people,
your interpretation is that if John Mahama wins, you won't give power to
But when the former president said, for example, that it doesn't lie in the president, the current president, or anybody to determine whether power will be handed over or not, and that it is the electorate who will determine that. How can you say that he will not hand over power
where was Brian Achampong
if the people decide that way?
Did he say that he will never hand over power? Is that what he said? You are interpreting. You just quoted the person and you are using another word.
This is what he said.
Yes.
it will never happen that
Yes.
we, the MPP, will
Yes.
stand on a platform to hand over power to
Yes,
the
because we are going to
what does that
work,
mean?
but we are going to campaign. I slept last night at 3 a.m. I slept last night at 3 a.m. Kingsley called me. I am here at 8 a.m. We are never going to relent on our efforts to make sure that we do everything we have to do, put in the work, and win. That is why, even though I slept at 3 a.m., this morning I'm going to Cape Coast. From Cape Coast, I go to the manifesto lunch, and then I come back to Accra. We are putting the energy. The only way we are going to lose the elections are in 2 ways. One, we fail to deliver on what the Ghanaian people are expecting of us. And
Right.
2, we fail to canvass and sell what we have done and achieved as a people. And that will never happen. We are going to make sure these 2 things are properly covered. And we'll make sure
As I take your final comments, right, I just wanted to refer you to this article from the 26th of April 2000. Government must accept useful minority suggestions. That's according to Dr. Kwame Addo-Kufuor, brother of former President Kufuor, and MP then for Manhyia. And he said that he had noted that billions of cedis and energy had been wasted on the single national health insurance scheme, and it could have been saved if the government had not brushed aside the minority suggestion in 1997 that such a scheme was not viable.
What's your point?
Billions of cedis
What's your point?
claimed to have been wasted on the national health insurance
So what's your
scheme.
point? What's your point?
You said that it had never been contemplated before that time, and the NDC had not executed anything.
But Akapo, why are you doing this to yourself?
I'm taking you to 1997.
Why are you doing this to yourself?
What am I doing?
Why are you doing this to yourself?
What am I doing?
Let me tell you for a fact on your show. Until 2003, there was only what we call community mutual schemes in just about 6 or 7
So what was Dr. Addo-Kufuor?
So you see, so you should go and ask Dr. Addo-Kufuor.
I should go and ask Dr.
No, but Dr. Addo-Kufuor is not Ghana. Dr. Addo-Kufuor, for example, you
was Dr. Addo-Kufuor a prominent member of the NPP?
No, you just sat here this morning to put out things that are not facts. So if that is published,
according to you,
yes, according to me. So if that is published online, and 20 years later, your children go to read, it makes it facts. The fact of the matter is that there was not a single national health insurance in this country. It was community-based, facilitated by the Catholic Church. Don't do this to yourself. This is fact.
Whatever the case may be,
this is fact.
I
don't know. You went back to it because
you went back to Dr. Addo-Kufuor was referring to at the time, which you do not see.
Which you should go and check.
Anyway,
you went back to this because again, media man, I should be right. You are wrong. There was not a single
I don't have to be right.
run.
Maybe you have to do that as
so let me put it on record, and you have researchers. There was not a single state-run national health insurance scheme in Ghana until 2003. That is fact. Everybody watching us at home can watch it, and you are wrong. In trying to assess.
Maybe you should have a conversation with Dr. Addo-Kufuor.
No. But why are you quoting something that you haven't verified? You are quoting something you haven't verified.
Dr. Addo-Kufuor said it.
So do you believe it?
A member of your party.
Do you believe it?
A member of your party.
So is it true? You are a media man to educate the people. What you are quoting, is it true?
Dr. Addo-Kufuor said it.
Is it correct?
Anyway.
Is it correct?
That is.
Do you quote anything at all you find online to be fact? Is that what you do?
Calm down.
No, I'm pointing out your inconsistencies to you. Is it correct?
You seem to have been irked a lot this morning.
No, because it's wrong. It is wrong for you to continuously have a platform that you have, which is a good platform, to be putting out things to disinform the people.
Okay.
There was not a single national health insurance
in the end
in Ghana before 1996. What you sought to do with the Addo-Kufuor quote is to create an impression that there was. You are wrong. You shouldn't do that.
All right.
There was none, zero.
You've had enough time to talk. Are you done now?
Thank you for the time.
Are you done now?
I'm done.
Okay. Thank you very much for joining the conversation. Dennis Miracles Aboagye sat here with us.